Tell me your story.
Okay.
How'd you get started in real estate?
Okay. So I'm Rhea Parsons. I am a realtor here at Peak Properties, working on my 5th year as a realtor. I am from Gillette, and that's important because Deb and Corey, the brokers here at Peak Properties, are also from Gillette. And so I had worked for Deb, feels like a couple lifetimes ago. She was her and one other gal, Stacy, were the directors of a CASA program visitation center. And so I went to work for them, very long story short. Eventually took over Deb's job as executive director because she moved down here to do real estate with Corey. And I took over her position there. And then after my kids were graduated from high school and through college, then my husband and I decided we wanted to change and move down here to Cheyenne. And that is my story behind becoming a realtor. She had started talking to me about it in probably 2013, 2012, 2013. And I didn't get moved down here till during the pandemic in 2020. So anyway.
Interesting. So you were a realtor in Gillette. Why did you start in realty?
I wasn't a realtor in Gillette. I was the director of a nonprofit organization there. And then I went on to do, so I've been an independent contractor for a long time. I went on to do independent contract work for the Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police and did that for about 10 years. And
what does that look like?
So my role in it was substance abuse prevention and mental health.
Okay.
So it was a lot of educating on the harms of alcohol and drugs, as well as work on policy and lobbying.
Okay, so independent contractor, maybe I'm diverting, but independent contractor is, again, kind of your own thing here. It sounds like you've done a lot of independent jobs.
Yes.
Businesses.
Yes.
And how did you get in? Were you just interested in mental health or substance abuse, I guess?
So if you work in nonprofit work, especially when you're working with families in crisis, you realize that you would like to move further upstream and do more in the prevention aspect to try to reduce some of the casualties that occur further downstream. So if you're talking about child abuse or domestic violence or substance abuse or any of those things, once you spend enough time in it, you think to yourself, I think I want to try to figure out how to stop this from happening. Because once you get to that point, it's really hard to overcome that cycle. So that's how I got interested in substance abuse and mental health.
So that feels to me like a big shift from
that to real estate.
Yeah.
Well,
and not just a career shift, but this is like a heart shift.
Sure. So for me, I'm a pretty hard worker, and I wanted to kind of shift my hard work into, instead of a nonprofit work, into for-profit work.
Okay.
But still helping people. And I think if you talk to any realtor, they're going to tell you that they are engaging in mental health activities as they are helping people buy and sell homes. It's very emotional for just about everybody, I think, because of the amount of money and memories that go into homes. And so I would say that for me, I still get to help people, but I'm just doing it in a different way. And I dare say not as heavy of work. Like for sure, real estate is a really big deal, but it's not the same as working with families in crisis. So yeah, it is. It's been a very easy shift for me because part of my work was mediating between divorcing parents. And so conflict and mediating between conflict is something I'm very comfortable with, which isn't that far of a departure from negotiating real estate deals either. So
that's fascinating. So you go from mediating divorce deals to real estate.
Mediating real estate deals. Yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Do you have a story that's, I don't know,
around real estate?
Yeah.
I do have a story, actually. There is a couple of years ago, I helped an elderly couple sell their home. And prior to me selling their home, they were victims of what I would consider to be elder abuse by one of their children taking advantage of them. And so I helped them navigate with their other children and them sort of getting their house sold. But the way that this correlates with my previous work is that just so happened to be that particular year in the legislative session, which I lobby. So I'm up at the Capitol quite a bit. And there happened to be a bill that particular year that was about protecting vulnerable adults and especially their financial situation. And this couple was in their late 80s and early 90s. And I had been talking to their children about it and to them, and they wanted to come testify and tell their story of what occurred and how their house almost got sold out from underneath them. And so anyway, I helped them with their walkers. And my husband and I actually I went and picked them up and we helped them into the Capitol, and they went into one of the legislative sessions for that vulnerable adult bill and testified. And I can tell you, there wasn't a dry eye in the room by the time they got done. There definitely needs to be more protection around vulnerable adults and making sure that their assets are protected as well as their just overall well-being and best interests. So that would be a real estate story that I would think that sort of crosses between both careers, is that I was able to use my experience in working with families and the fact that I'm a lobbyist to help a client that actually did partially get taken advantage of by one of their children and get them to tell their story and make a difference in getting that bill passed. So
what about their story was so compelling?
I think just how devastating it was, that the impact that if somebody is looking to take advantage of a vulnerable person and really just even in the small amount of damage that they did cause, just how life-changing that is to know that one of your children would do that to you. And I think that's not uncommon. It does happen. And so just, I think for me, what was just really wonderful was to bring her up there and tell her story. And she was very articulate. Very smart woman. And just because she was nearing 90 years old didn't mean that she didn't have her faculties about her to share her story. So that's what was most compelling for me. And I'm all about making a difference, which is clearly what Lindee and I's podcast is about. So if they were able to persevere through their story and share it with policymakers and make a difference, then why not? So.
Oh, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it sounds like you're very busy.
Yeah.
And you've done a lot of hard work. You're in nonprofits. And so you decide to move to real estate. What was the transition from Gillette to Cheyenne like?
Amazing.
Tell me, what are all the things that you had to get started? I'm hearing quite a bit.
I mean, really, all it really was selling our house in Gillette and moving down here. And actually, it was during the pandemic, so we were all on lockdown. So we had bought a house, and I was literally sitting in a real estate class watching houses be built across the street from me. And my husband, it took him a few years, actually, to make his way here. He would come back and forth on his days off between Gillette and Cheyenne. Yep. But he's here now and has been for about the last year and a half. And we just love it here. We just love Wyoming. Like, we don't really want to leave Wyoming. Well, I'm speaking for myself. Grant wants to go to somewhere sunny where he can golf. But anyway, we really like the location and the easeability of things to do and just the wonderful people here in Cheyenne. Our Gillette is still our home. We still love everybody there, our youngest son actually still lives there, so we're there quite a bit. But yeah, it's a pretty easy kind of back and forth between Cheyenne and Gillette. Although I will say I wish it was a little closer. 3.5 hours is a long time. If it could be 2 hours, that would be great, but it is what it is.
Time to get an airplane.
Yeah. Yeah. Lindee and I are working on that with this podcast. One of these days when we're famous, we'll have our own plane.
Private jet.
Private jet. That's right.
Okay. And so, Lindee, can we go all the way back?
Yeah, we can go all the way back.
What did you do? Can we talk about before real estate?
Yeah. So I have been in real estate for 12 years.
Okay.
But prior to that, Rhea touched on it a little bit. My parents, my mom and my stepdad opened Peak Properties here in 2006. My sister also got her license at that time. And apparently my mom was like recruiting everyone.
This is great.
Yeah.
Including me. She was doing the same thing. But I went to college for a long time.
Okay.
I have a doctorate in adult and post-secondary education. And so my goal was to teach at a university or be a dean or something like that. That was what I wanted to do.
That's not real estate.
No, it's not. And so I actually worked, and I didn't even do that. I did teach at LCCC, but I worked for the state of Wyoming for 7 years, I think it was, before I got into real estate. I worked for the state office, so none of like the local, I worked on the overarching like state, the whole state.
Wow.
And then my mom just kept saying, get a real estate license, get a real estate license. And I was like, I went to college for a really long time to just go sell real estate. And then I got pregnant with my son and I called my mom and I said, I think I want to do real estate. And I think I went into real estate for reasons a lot of people do. Flexibility, make your own, you get to make your own schedule. You get to spend time with your family. You can prioritize things. And then I think the reality of that is not what happens. It's a lot. I mean, you do get to make your schedule, but you work 24/7. I mean, if you want to do well at this, you have to be on call all the time. You have to be there for people. And depending on the market you're in, I mean, sometimes immediately if a house comes on and it's one they want to see. So I think what I wanted to do was be able to take my child with me if I had to, or, share. My sisters and I all sell real estate now. So we've all slowly come into real estate, which I think we wanted to raise our kids and make our own schedules and be kind of flexible with that. And it's definitely given us that opportunity. But we have to work together because, you work 24/7 in real estate. So,
So, I mean, I understand you made a transition for freedom. And, just the flexibility. And if you have a kid, that was one of my big reasons for going into entrepreneurship, because we had children and I was working nonstop and not at home. But you invested so much of your life into a doctorate, and I'm sure you had that sounds like a great job. Yeah. Was very secure. Yes, which is also important for
vested.
Kids.
Yeah, it's really hard to leave stuff like that. Yeah, to go, okay, am I just giving this up? And I think I kept telling myself, well, I can always go back to this someday. I didn't realize that I would love real estate as much as I do. I was around it a lot already before that because my stepdad, my mom, my sister, friends that worked here, real estate was like our life anyways. So I feel like I was already had, somewhat of an idea of what it would be like, but.
Okay. And so then you both connected here
Rhea and I actually knew each other before because we're both from Gillette. Okay. So I graduated high school there and I left after high school. But Rhea worked for my mom and then Rhea took over for my mom at Casa. Okay. And so then when Rhea came down here to sell real estate, I had tried to do a podcast in my car.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I didn't try real hard, but that was my idea. It's been several years, but I was like, I'm going to do we're in our cars all the time. That's all we do is drive from property to property to appointment to appointment. And so I was like, I should do it in the car because, we're told market yourself, video's the best, get on video. People need to see your face. So I was like, okay, I want to pick people up in my car and interview them and then take them back and make them short little videos. And just kind of talk about, and I wanted them to be real estate related because I was like, I could pick up the title company lady. She could tell us about what the title company does and I take her back. Anyways, if anyone's tried to start a podcast, you realize it is a lot of work and it's a lot of moving parts. We've talked sound, video, you want to put a product out there that's good. And I'm not really a tech person. I can learn things and I've taught myself some things, but it's a lot. So it didn't work out. And then Rhea, Rhea came and got her license. And one day my mom said, Rhea wants to start a podcast.
Yeah. So I had attended a Tom Ferry conference in Dallas, and they were just talking about being innovative and thinking outside of the box. And because I was newer to Cheyenne, I was really trying to think of how can I get the most amount of people to get to know me. Aside from all the networking, all the everything that we do, I didn't grow up in Cheyenne, and so I didn't know everybody. So I thought the podcast would be a great way for people to get to know me and who I'm about. So like we were joking earlier, even people that we don't know that listen to the podcast, they're getting to know us, and that's the ultimate goal, right? To know us and our personalities and to trust us because we're good people. So,
yeah. So Rhea said she wanted to start a podcast. My mom said, let's go to lunch. We went to the office. We had lunch, and I was like, yes, please. I want to do this. But what we learned is we do need two people. I think if you're starting this on your own, it's a lot to take on as if you...
Unless you're just a freelancer that has somebody paying all your bills and you just devote all your time to it. You know, you're not making money off of it to get started, and we're still not. But yeah, we definitely need two of us. And our roles kind of evolved pretty naturally when we got going. The setting up of the studio took us 2 or 3 months, and we were buying equipment and then taking it back. And we tried a bunch of different things, and then we thought we were going to have it completely soundproof, and then we realized we didn't really need to have it completely soundproof. And but it took us a little while.
We put up funny story. We put up all the sound things everywhere in here.
Yeah.
And we came in one day and they were all laying on the ground. They all fell off the wall. They wouldn't even stick. And we were just like, this. It felt like it was like a challenge after challenge.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah. So even the microphones or the stands that held the microphones, we initially started off with a stand that was like in the middle and the camera, but then we couldn't see each other. So then we're like, okay, that's not going to work. And really the ones that sit in front of us have turned out to be the best, other than like Lindee said, if we get people to stay near the microphone and not lean back, that really is what can create. Then the other microphones start to pick it up, their voice, and there's just some issues with that. But anyway, and of course there's things we would love to be doing differently. But
I think
we're
that's
busy.
the hard part. I think you want to start something and you want it to be like big and great.
Bam.
Yes, like look at this. And that's what we wanted because the studio that we're in is in our office. It's in the basement. And my parents, Corey and Deb, they own the building. And so we had a renter down here. It's just a studio apartment. And he had moved out right at the same time that Rhea had brought up the podcast. So then we started brainstorming, like, do we do a pop-up podcast where you have to set up the equipment? Where will we do it? And my mom said, the basement apartment is open if you want to do the podcast here. And so that's what we did. But yeah, we wanted it to be big. We wanted multiple cameras. We started watching other podcasts. We want the camera in your face. We want to be able to make shorts and reels off of it. And yeah, we have one camera now. It's just much easier. And we do have 4 microphones, but it took a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
We'll probably need to invest at some point to have somebody come, like, whatever it's going to take us to the next level in terms of technology. But for right now, what we have is working. And as long as people can hear us talking, that's really the most important thing right now.
You're doing great. So let's take us back to that first time, like the first podcast. What did the studio look like? How did it feel doing that?
So a funny story. We got to tell them the story about the signs really quick first. So we had found these signs.
Which are great.
Thank you. There's a story behind them because when they arrive, they don't come like this.
Okay.
It's disassembled. So what we learned, you get a box with each of the individual letters.
Oh.
And that's it.
And then it has a wire on it because these all light up.
Yeah.
Well, these bottom ones don't, but these do.
Which
and it just
normally
came
would
in
be on, but there's a little sound thing.
Right. Yeah, it does make a little bit of sound. So that's another obstacle. We didn't know that it would make, it's like a fan noise. When we first started, people would say they could hear the fan. I couldn't decide if it was the computer fan because at one point I had a mic
right
over
near them.
there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've changed it a lot. At one point I sat there and then Rhea and the guests sat here. And then I would switch, if I talked, I'd switch that camera back to my face, back and forth. But then I'm kind of like out
And
of
then
the
it's
picture.
not enough. Yeah, she's not in it enough.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And so, yeah.
But
Anyways, so the sign came in pieces and I didn't know that. I ordered it on Etsy and it was like beautiful. And I was like, this is what we want. And then it came and we opened it and we were like,
She was, I think you were at a conference or something. And so I'm like, yay. So I open up the box and I'm like, holy shit, there's
like,
need
is
to
it
build
even,
letters.
this wood part, this didn't come.
No.
What?
We paid like a ton of money and it was just these letters.
And you thought the whole backing would come and everything.
Yeah.
And it would come as
Oh,
a sign.
man.
So we had
to
to
hire someone.
We hired Kevin
wow.
Stewart, and he's an amazing handyman, and he
Built
built this for us.
And it took
Wow.
a lot of hours. He told us, he's like, I'm really sorry. This took a lot of hours. I'll bet at least 12 hours, I think, to
Well,
put
it's a
this
great
together.
job.
Yeah. So needless to say, this isn't ever going anywhere. It's gold. And so,
well, and we had ideas. We were like, let's make it say the studio so anyone could record here. And that's why this is separate, because we thought we could remove our names if somebody wanted to use our studio. And we have let people record here. But we're just also not professional. So we don't want to like charge people or anything like that until
we know what
we
we're
have
doing.
like a whole setup like you
That'd be
guys.
fun. Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That is a fun idea.
Yeah.
Make a real studio out of it.
So, but our first episode was with Sheriff Kozak.
Okay.
And didn't we have to have Warren in here like the day of? Was it his episode? Like literally, we were doing test runs to make sure that the first episode would go off without a hitch. And I can't remember if it was his or one of the early ones where literally we're like scheduled for like 2:00 and at 1:00, nothing's working. Thank God for Warren at the Geek Garage, because he just jetted right on over here and helped us.
Very cool.
Get it all set up.
Very cool.
But that's the only thing. I mean, there really wasn't anything else associated with that first episode that I can think of, other than it was Sheriff Kozak. That was our first.
First guest. And did you know Sheriff Kozak before then?
Yes.
So this wasn't easy?
Well, so yes. And the way that I knew Sheriff Kozak, of course, was my work with the Wyoming Association of Sheriffs and Chiefs of Police.
Yes.
And then Lindee.
My husband's a police officer, so Sheriff Kozak was the chief of police. And so he was at one point my husband's boss.
Yeah. Okay. So he was very familiar with us.
So we knew
too.
him, yes.
Well, that's a good way to start.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then once you put it out into the world, was it as big of a bang as you hoped for?
I mean, it's a slow burn. Having a podcast, I would say, is a slow burn.
We felt like this whole time that starting a podcast is like a long game, and now we feel like we have a good amount of people that are following us and viewing ours. But we wondered if maybe in the beginning people were waiting to see if we were actually if this was gonna
get out.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, okay, did they just make a video with the sheriff and now that's it? Or are they gonna keep going?
Yeah, so I don't regret that we did 2 a week, and I'm not saying we won't even go back to that at some point, but it did help us build our audience. We started off with this being about real estate transactions as well as any careers associated with real estate. And then, of course, what we call jump stories, where people make the leap to do something different with their lives, which sounds like similar to you. But then last summer, we added community stories as well. And this, I mean, having the broad spectrum of all 4 topics. And we actually added, we had a young man in high school approach us wanting to do an unpopular opinion episode. So we actually did that too. But the 4 sort of themes, if you will, has helped us create content, invited people to be on the podcast. The first year was just a huge blessing. We got a really great outpouring of support, and it was very evident by we did like a 1-year anniversary party, and I think we were blown away by the number of people that came to support us. Well over 100 people. We had a little get together at Westby's, and well over 100 people. And you think about, by that point we had just about 100 episodes. And so we were thinking, even if our friends and family showed up, we'd be happy. And that's really what we were counting on. And so many more came, which was wonderful. So,
which then makes you feel like, okay, well, what we're doing is
good.
Is good.
Yeah.
I mean, because we feel like it is. We've loved sharing everyone's stories. We've learned about our community even more. And I think we've created this like library of episodes that people can go to learn about anything Cheyenne. I mean, you have a question about what to do here, where to find anything. We've probably interviewed somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like on Cheyenne Community Connections, if somebody's like, I'm looking for this, and we can get in the comments and share our video and they can sit and listen to it at their own leisure if they want to, and it will answer their question. So that's a lot of fun too. I like being able to do that. Because I just think that sometimes the fear of the unknown is what keeps you from reaching out, to ask for help. So the goal with the podcast is to remove the unknown, that you get to hear people's, backstory. Everybody, what's that saying? We all have to put our legs in our pants, one leg at a time, whatever it is. Everybody, we all have our things. And what's very interesting, the process through which people have to go through to grow is the same, whether you are homeless and trying to get stable, all the way to being a successful business person trying to reach the next level. It takes a lot of the same mindset, the same, it's just choose your heart. Where's your fight at? What is it, right? So if you listen to any of the like the Comia shelter, right, or needs, or the safe house, you listen to them talk about sort of the perseverance that it takes for people to pull themselves out of homelessness. It's not all that different than it is from somebody trying to make a jump from a previous life to a new life. And I think that's what we're trying to accomplish with this, is not only tell everybody's story, but kind of normalize the struggle. Right?
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
What are one of the, I don't know, do you have a story that exemplifies that? Like an interview that you both have heard, maybe did, that just feels like...
Well, the Westby's is the best example.
It really is we use it all the time. I would say Markham's is too, with CrossFit. So the Westby's, Darren is the director at the Department of Transportation, and Misha is a judge over in Albany County. And they had, of course, built successful careers and had their dream house and decided they wanted to start a business, and sold their dream house, couch surfed with friends and family to make this dream come true. And then eventually built themselves an apartment above Westby's or within Westby's or whatever. And I think it could be easy to think, well, they have these really successful careers, so that really wasn't a struggle. But when you sit and listen to their story and you hear the sacrifice and the struggle that it took for them to get that thing off the ground. I mean, they were both working all day and then coming to the building at night and working hours and hours and hours every single day for a couple of years, right? And you think about that takes grit and perseverance and to give up. I think if you have to sell your house and be homeless, that feels like a step backwards, even if it isn't, right? Like you are now couch surfing and trying to make a dream come true. And the funnest part of their story is that when they sold their house, they drove to Las Vegas and built out their business plan during that drive.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I just am like, how fun. I mean, that's just really amazing, I think. So would you have anything else you'd want to add to that one? Or maybe talk about Markham's? His is pretty good.
Yeah,
too.
and then we had Markham King. He and Christy own CrossFit Cheyenne and Lumen Athletics. And they had a CrossFit gym, but they were renting. And I think that's just a whole nother aspect of the story. People start businesses and then they think, well, I don't want to rent. I want to own my building. I want to own
Start big.
Just like we said with the podcast, you want it to be like this amazing thing like right away. And it's not. And so their story was that they slowly moved up in rentals, and then they bought a commercial property from me in 2020, which is where they are now, right next to Blacktooth downtown. And it's just like the story of them and that crazy time of the pandemic when people like
they bought
Rhea
that building right before.
they bought the building.
Oh, gosh.
Literally, pandemic happened and they were supposed to close like a week later. And they were like, everyone was like, should we do this? What are we doing? And then they did, and they had to remodel it. And it's just like, just hearing people's stories and then knowing what you have to do to make things happen.
I say, especially when we hear these stories, I always say that it's almost like when you take the leap to change your life, the universe conspires to see if you're serious about it. So there's all these obstacles that occur when you first try, when you first make the jump, make the leap, problems, and were you questioning whether you're doing the right thing or whatever. But when you listen to all the stories of everybody that's come on, they just keep going. That really is the key, is even if it feels impossible and like there's not a way, just keep putting one foot in front of the other and it'll happen how it's supposed to happen. So I think that's what we've heard from just about everybody that has a jump story on here.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Yeah, just keep.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. Yeah. We maybe have slowed it a little now. Yes. We did drop to one episode a week here for the summer, and we'll reevaluate at the end of the summer if we want to kick it back up to 2 or leave it at 1. But just, we are realtors. That is where we make our money, and that's where our focus has to be. And this last month just got a little crazy. And so, yeah.
And like real estate does change weekly, I think, but it's like a roller coaster. So we have to work when it's busy, and when it's not, we're still doing other things. But yeah, we kind of have to focus on
Adjust
our clients and
yeah. Yeah. Our clients have to be number one, and our service to them has to be number one. And so we did realize in May that it was time to take a step back for just a little bit. But you never know, through the wintertime, things do tend to slow down a little bit. We might be able to kick it back up for a while, and we'll just see.
Well, we're also both really like ambitious people. I would say we want like big things. Even with like the podcast.
Yeah, we could do it full time if somebody would pay us to do that.
Yeah, we would definitely.
Yeah.
And I think we think of all these ideas even now. Like we recently did a series, like a podcast series with the Southeast Wyoming Builders Association. After that, I was like, yes, we should do this with every nonprofit. Like a nonprofit comes on here, and then they could have different aspects, and you have different episodes that talk about. But we were exhausted after.
We were. It was exhausting.
There was 7 or 8 episodes in that series, and it was a lot of recording on one topic, and so it gets exhausting.
A lot of like technical information, whereas so much of our podcast, there is technical information, but there's also those personal stories. And there was personal stories a little bit threaded throughout April, but it wore us out a little bit. So in May, we were both like, oh, we need a minute to recover from that. So anyway.
You both talked about your, about the party you got to do after 1 year, which is so fun, and then over 100 people, it sounds like they came. And what are some things you're proud of as you've done this podcast?
I think I'm just proud of all the stories that we've helped people share, because I think that we've had so many people like run into us and say, I listened to this episode. It was so awesome. And we hope it inspired someone to, follow some dream or chase some goal that they have.
Or utilize that service of that person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or help their business grow. Because that's another thing, was we just love helping people. So this was like our extra way of doing that.
Yeah. I would agree. I'm proud of that as well. Not only are we helping businesses promote their businesses, but we're learning about their business. We can refer people to their business. And I just think it makes us better realtors knowing all the things that we know now to be able to make those referrals and to know where to send people if they need something. So I think it's just as making us better in our profession, and we're doing it by helping others be better in theirs. And I just can't think of a better way to be doing that.
Yeah, those are good. And then if someone wants to contact.
Yeah.
You could find us on social media.
Anywhere.
Anywhere. You can just Google our names and we will pop up. But Rhea and I are realtors at Peak Properties. So that our website is sellcheyenne.com. We are actually working on a landing page for our podcast that will be on that website. Because that's another thing is another aspect of the podcast. Do you have a landing page? Do you have, you know,
so that we can.
We're learning still.
Yeah, that SEO optimization where people find us. We need the the landing page for that.
Yeah, so I think finding the podcast, I would Google Beyond the Front Door podcast or go to any of the podcast sites where you listen. YouTube, we have a channel there. That's easy to find. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have TikTok. We try to keep up on all those, but our podcasts are definitely on Facebook. When we release them, we put them there so you can find
put a name
episodes.
to a face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you both. I love what you're doing here in the city. I love how you've chosen a generous path for marketing and you're helping other people. And of course, you just have a great manner, on the microphones. So anyways, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I mean,
it depends.
Just really quickly, I guess I want to know, you have started a podcast.
Yeah.
So what's the name of your podcast? When did you start?
Well, our podcast is called Voices on the Wind. And we started, that is a great question. We're only on season, I think we just launched episode 7, something like that. This is very new.
And you did seasons. We just like to hear all this because we went to a conference at one point because we were like, we need to go talk to people who do this. We learned stuff at it. The main thing we learned was just keep going, like anything. Yeah. Like just keep going when you feel like nobody's listening, or you just have to keep going because it takes time.
Yes.
You never know the one that's going to make you go viral.
So you did series.
Well, we're keeping going. Okay. But the way, just for my brain, it helps just to think about things in sections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we thought about that too, but now we don't know how to go back and reorganize things.
You could start.
Right?
Actually, I had a client, because that's my business. I had a client who just who did exactly that. She was just doing, just going along, and then she said, "You know what? I want to stop for the summers. I'm really busy, and I'd like to take a break." She did like a dietitian thing. And so she just started doing seasons. The fall, spring, summer, forget about it. Yeah. So everybody knew for her, at least, that she's coming back in the fall.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, how are you enjoying it?
I really like it. We partly started because, kind of like you, I grew up in Cheyenne, but we moved away for a while. And so coming back somewhere around COVID, like right before COVID, actually, and just really hard to connect. So we have 3 kids, and it was hard for them to connect, and it was hard for my wife and I to connect in town. And so I've got clients all over the world, and I know very few people here in town. And that just seemed like a sin to me.
Sure.
So it's partly that, and I love seeing people start businesses. I just love it.
Yes.
So
we do too.
We do too.
Yeah, so fun. I'm glad we share the same passion. It's, set my family free. I know some other folks that I know a woman who got out of a domestic relationship, a bad domestic relationship because she started a business and had the freedom and power and control to get out.
Good for her.
Yeah, so I'm just a big fan of them. So anyways, I'd like to help other people start what has helped us. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.